So today I'm looking at a different way of fixing dry materials, charcoals, pastels, that sort of thing, in your sketchbook without using a fixative spray. If spray is a problem for you as well, then let's have a look, see what I'm doing, and it may be of help to you. Hello, I'm Helen, welcome to my channel. So this all started, like a lot of things do, this all started from watching an Instagram post, and I'll link the Instagram account down below, an artist called Rachel Davis, and she was playing with charcoal on her gel plate. Now I've got a gel plate. It's something that for me, it's not out all of the time. And I thought, oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. And that idea then bounced, so if that's working like that for her, maybe I can try this, which will help me solve my particular issue. And my particular issue is I tend not to use charcoals and pencils and pastels in my sketchbook because I don't like the mess. And it's not the mess on my fingers, it's not the mess on the table, it's the mess on the page. But even though I've sprayed it with fixative spray, which I don't like using, and I've put protective pieces of paper or tracing paper or something in between the pages, it still smudges. I still get very frustrated with it. So therefore, I don't tend to use charcoal very often, and I want to use it. I want to play with charcoal. I like drawing with charcoal. So yeah, I had a play with my gel plate, and I've come up with some, I think, an idea, a way that may help solve that problem for me. And if it solves that problem for me, it may solve it for you as well, if this is your issue. I've just had a root through some of my old sketchbooks, and 2004, look at the smudge on here. This is just a pencil drawing. Smudge on here. Eek, don't like it. This is undated, but from the same sort of era. And I think on this, there's literally a print of it. And there again, this looks like charcoal drawing, and it's still smudging off. And this, I will have sprayed these. This was actually done in a gallery. I can't read or see any of those little illustrations on there because they've smudged together. This is the one that in the last video I showed the sketchbook play, and these have all smudged. Smudge. And even, I've written on here, it really annoys me. I didn't use the word annoyed. But yeah, it's still really loose, even though it's all been sprayed. So this is 2B pencil, compressed charcoal, and a charcoal light. I've used the water brush on here as well. This one is pencil sharpenings, which I quite like using. You get a nice texture with pencil sharpenings. But again, it's just the mess on the page. And also pastels. See, I've got some green coming off here. I think that's actually the Neocolor 2. So Neocolor 2s, unless you wet them, use them with water, they likewise will smudge off on the page. This is an older one. I've put some tracing paper in between, but I mean, look, you can see the silver on that, and this one is compressed charcoal or something, medium charcoal pencil. So you can get away with it by putting pieces of paper inside. So this is just literally taped tracing paper within my sketchbook, so it's protected the other pages. But I do tend to use pieces of paper in between my pages when I'm working on them, and so I'm going to have to go wash my hands now, aren't I? And so I'm protecting the paper while I'm working, but I don't want to have pieces of paper in between all of the pages. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to do several drawings. I'm going to do a couple in one of my larger sketchbooks. I may do some drawings in a smaller sketchbook, but also on some loose paper and some painted paper. So I've got a different collection of charcoal drawings to play with, so we can experiment with different techniques to fix them. So I think what I will do, my favourites, and that is just to do some jugs. So I've got 3 jugs up on the windowsill in front of me. Yeah, just do some simple jug shapes, something to play with. I'm going to use, I've got some compressed charcoal here. I've got a few charcoal pencils, but I may just use the compressed charcoal. I've got some willow cut charcoal in the drawer I may use. So let's go anyway. What have we got? So I've got lots of things to play with now. I've got 3, 4, 5 separate pieces of paper, and I'm actually quite pleased with those. Yeah, I'm actually quite liking those on the coloured paper. I'm really pleased with those. I'm going to go and wash my hands and then get set up ready for the next part of the process, next part of the experiment. So I know I have played in the past with scraping acrylic paint over drawings or whatever, and you can do that, but obviously you're going to get an opaque finish on here. It's going to knock it back, and I don't necessarily want to do that with my jugs here, because I'm quite liking the coloured backgrounds on here, and I don't want to mute that down even more. So that is an option, is to scrape paint over it. And the scraping the paint also seals in, this is, can you paint over oil pastels, is what I've written on here. And the answer is yes. So yes, I've painted over and I've scraped. And it hasn't smudged the oil pastels at all, but it's sealed it. So I'm not getting any sticky oil pastel on my hand here at all. But the experiment that I did yesterday, after watching the YouTube video, was to cover that one up straight away, is to use matte medium. Now I've got, one's nearly empty, but I've got some Galleria Winsor & Newton matte medium. And I thought, okay, let's see if matte medium works over. So this is just in my Royal Talents Art Creation sketchbook, and this one I have used a brush, and the matte medium moves the charcoal. Now, yeah, it could be an effect that you want, but it's changing the quality of the drawing that you've drawn. Following on from Rachel Davis's Instagram and using her gel plate, I thought, right, I'm going to have a go at using the matte medium on the gel plate and seeing whether that works. And ta-da! That is with the gel plate. You can see, I don't know whether you will be able to see on camera, but there is a line where the edge of the gel plate was. And the matte medium has covered the surface. It is quite smooth. There's a couple of little bumps, and there's some lines here. There's some lines here. I'm not sure whether you are going to be able to see that, which are marks from the roller on the gel plate. But essentially, by using the gel plate, I've managed to cover the page with a thin film of matte medium, which hasn't smudged like when I use the brush. It's just covered it beautifully. So it's a nice, useful way of sealing something in your sketchbook, or an idea to play with of another way to seal your charcoal drawings without using the fixative spray. So I'm going to have another go at doing those. So I've got I don't even know what size it is. Anyway, nearly A4 size. There we are, there's the details. I've got that gel plate. So I'm going to be putting some matte medium on here. I'm going to be applying the paper onto it, and then I think the key is to leave it to dry, and then in the sketchbook definitely peel the gel plate from the paper on with loose paper. I think you can just peel the paper from the plate. So I'm just going to get my roller. I'm just going to have a scrap piece of paper just to get the roller covered first of all. And using matte medium, you don't really, because it's clear, you don't really see how much you've got on here. So it's just a case of trying to get down and into seeing the sheen on the plate. So like I say, you are going to get some marks of I'm going to get 2 on there. Should we try for 2? Let's try for 2. You might still get some roller marks. You're a skinny mini. No. Okay, maybe I'm not going to try for 2. I've got this one on here. Smooth it down. What Rachel Davis was actually doing was she was pulling monoprints from the charcoal drawing. So applying the charcoal onto the gel plate and then putting acrylic paint on top, rather than using it as a way of sealing your paint, your charcoal. So I'm going to leave that to dry a bit. So I think I'm going to leave it for about 10 minutes and come back to it. So while that one's drying, while the gel plate is drying, I'm going to put that on a board. I want to experiment with whether I can use something else. If you don't have a gel plate, can you use something else? And my thoughts were, I'm going to try a Polly Pocket with some cardboard inside and seeing whether get rolling onto there. I'm going to try a piece of foam packaging. It's not quite polystyrene, but anyway, it's foam packaging. I've also got some acetate, one that is thinner than the other. Whether this was years ago OHP acetate, I can't remember, or whether this is cut from some packaging, so I'm going to have a go with that. And I did also wonder whether just to have a go with, you know, a glossy magazine cover, and to see whether you could get a layer of matte medium onto there with onto your pictures with, instead of the gel plate, with that. So should we do one of these first? So I'm going to use this like a gel plate and put the matte medium on, and I'm hoping that I will be able to peel the paper off afterwards. So just stick it down like you would a gel plate. So I'm squashing it down like I would a gel plate. I'm going to leave that for a few minutes and then we'll pull that one off. So that's number 2. Let's do the Polly Pocket. So this is a piece of polythene. You could use, I guess, a plastic bag, as in sort of a kitchen food plastic bag. So I'm going to put some matte medium on here. At least I can see the matte medium on this one. Okay, and I'm going to try you on here. It's whether or not I'm going to be able to peel this off from the plastic afterwards. That will be the challenge. Okay, so that's my Polly Pocket. Piece of acetate. What do you reckon, thinner or thicker? I think I'm going to go for the thinner piece of acetate. I can hardly see the acetate on my table, let alone the, I can see the matte medium bending down and looking at it through the sheen. I think it's probably going to fit that one a bit better. I am going to have a play with doing the charcoal and monoprint on the gel plate. I think that's a fun thing to have a go at doing. But this was just a process of, okay, well, can I use charcoal in my sketchbooks and what to do about it. So I've got the two in my sketchbook to use. So I'm going to try a magazine picture on one of them and a piece of acetate on the other and see whether that works. And I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to be very careful, and before I peel or try and peel these things off, I'll need to write down what I've got on what, so I know what I've used on what drawing. Okay, you're going to go onto that. I'm going to do, let's push from that side as well. Right, and acetate on the other one. Not sure whether you can still buy acetate. Or whether it's redundant now. Nobody uses OHPs. Overhead projectors for the youngsters who are watching. Back in the day before computers. Okay, and this one I'm going to turn over. You could, if you've got another roller, use, roll from this side as well, or if you've got a burnishing, if you do print work, if you've got a burnishing, I don't know what you call them, burnisher, you could use one of those. So I've still got one to do. Although it's not going to cover all of it, I'm going to have a go with the plastic, as I said I would. So I'm going to it's going to be a strip on this one. It's not going to be covering the whole image. So, and there is going to be, oh no, let's use that side, a crease. So basically I'm just going to roll her on here. As always with gel printing, it does work, or it can work better with thinner paper, I think. So I've managed to pull better prints from sort of newsprint type paper than what I have with thicker paper. But I think it's all down to the drying time as well, and maybe in the early days when I was doing them, I just wasn't letting them dry. So this is the one with the gel print. This is the proper gel plate. So I'm going to see if this will pull. Is it actually? Okay. So that's left an imprint of the charcoal. A little bit of charcoal coming off, but that's not too bad. So I'm going to leave that to dry properly. So that's the gel plate. So I need to write on there, don't I? I want to write. I'll write on the back. So this is the gel plate. That's that one. Let's move the gel plate out the way. This is a magazine. Ooh, I think that this one's showing up a little bit more shiny somehow. Getting a bit of... Am I getting it from there? But definitely some of the medium, the matte medium, is on here. So this one was magazine cover. This is a piece of acetate. This is not working for me because already I'm getting some peeling of the paper. So this is actually just glued. Yeah, this is glued the image, which is a shame. It's actually just glued the image to it. So I don't know whether I'll be able to remove that by dampening it down again. So if I try this again, I might just, yeah, that's a failure in my book. So the other acetate was in here, so I'm going to peel the acetate off of here. Oh no, this is peeling better. There's a little bit of paper that's come away there, and a little bit of paper on that bit. But not really worked. Okay. So this magazine hasn't worked either. I'm just getting, that's peeling the magazine to pieces. So that matte medium is working like a glue with the magazine paper, which matte medium is a glue. You use it for collage. So that is not, that's not good. So this one is a magazine page. This is the thin, the flimsy acetate that hasn't worked. So I've got the I call them Polly Pockets. They're filing pockets. So this is sticking as well. That's not really working. Okay, that's a shame. So maybe if I hadn't let it to dry, that might have peeled off better. So this one's a Polly Pocket. So that hasn't really worked. And my last one is not going to work either. So it's just gluing it to that. Okay. So my ideas have failed me. Never mind, it's all worth playing with. So that hasn't really worked either. So the successful ones were the thicker acetate and that one was a magazine cover. That worked. And this one was the gel plate. So I'm going to go wash my hands so I know I've got clean hands, and we'll do a hand rub and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to... I've got clean hands now. I'm going to use a tissue as well. Yeah, okay, so it's still coming off of that one. So that's the magazine cover. Less from the gel plate. Considerably less from the gel plate, in my opinion. But quite a lot from the thicker acetate. So the gel plate is the one that does seem to be working the best. So I think if you've got a gel plate and you've got some loose medium in your sketchbook that you do want to seal, then maybe have a go, have a play with the gel plate and see whether you can seal it with some matte medium. I haven't played with gloss medium at all yet, so that might be worth a little look at. But yeah, it's kind of happening with the magazine cover and the thicker acetate, but it's certainly worth playing with. Certainly worth playing with. Sadly, I think the fact that I let them dry like you would on the gel plate, I let the paper dry, and the matte medium has just worked like glue on the other ones. But that's fine. You don't know until you try. This whole process might well, for me, have just opened the door a little bit more to using charcoal and dry materials. I'm quite looking forward to having a play with doing some more. I liked the effect on the painted paper, so I think that's what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to be experimenting with some charcoal drawings on painted papers. That's where I'm going to finish it, I think. Yeah, I hope this has been useful. I hope this has given you ideas that you can have a play with, and things that may work for you. If you've got a gel plate and you want to have a go at putting a layer of acrylic or a layer of matte medium over top of your charcoal, then do have a play. It seems to work with a gel plate. Yeah, happy experimenting. Thank you very much for all the subscriptions to the channel and for the likes and the lovely comments. I really, really appreciate it. Onwards and upwards. Happy creating. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye for now.